Hi, in this video, I want to introduce how to deploy our application via Terraform. And Terraform is an open source infrastructure as code software tool developed by HashiCorp. And it provides a means for us to define infrastructure as code on numerous platforms, including Amazon AWS. To start with, to implement the commands to test the code and deliver the environment, we need to first run the Terraform command to initialize the working directory. So we enter the command of Terraform initialize. But by this command, we can see the return message indicates that Terraform has been successfully initialized. We can see the configuration. We can see the file structure of the Terraform directory. A configure.tf file just indicates that it contains the Terraform provider, which is AWS, and its region. And I believe the following sentences is about the identity verification, about the session key, about the access key. I don't and in data.tf file, the file acts as a data handler, and it contains information, the data formats that need to be used in the following instructions. In main.tf file, it contains the execution that we are about to implement. Okay. And in outputs.tf file, it contains the description of the output and the value. And in variables.tf files, it contains the necessary variables that for the Terraform configuration. Okay, so now we want to deploy our application with Terraform. To start with, we need to have a pre-deployment test to test whether Terraform has a correct format. We use a command of Terraform format dash recursive. Okay. Dash recursive means we need to check the files within the directory recursively, and no returning message indicates that we have the correct file structure that suits the Terraform style guide. And we also want to run the dash check command to show whether our file, whether any files has contains formatting errors, and the terminal will just return the files containing the errors. Same result, no returning messages indicates that we have the correct format for our entire directory. And then we want to run the Terraform validate command to validate that the Terraform configuration files in a module are not only syntactically correct, but also referentially consistent and consistent parameterized. The return message indicates that the configuration is already successfully invalid. Now we want to run the command of Terraform plan, and Terraform plan is this action is about to provide it to give the administrators the ability to reveal that our expected change to the environment it will show which resources are being added, which resources are being changed or destroyed based on the provided variable inputs passed on. Just what we contains in the previous variables.tf file. And we run the command of Terraform plan to see what are the changes we want to make. And we in this section in this section it requires us to input the URL of our doc image in the ECR and ECR, which is Elastic Container Repository, which I mentioned in the previous video. Okay. Oh, we can see there are just 3 variables to be changed. Okay, and 0 to add because I just previously performed the whole project, and now we can finally deploy our application by the command of Terraform apply. Before I run this command, I just wanna introduce some errors that I encountered by using this command, which is Terraform apply. First, I mentioned the problem that it tells me the managed temporary credentials will not work if I want to create a private subnet using AWS. So there will be, I do not understand it with specific detail, but it tells me that there will be some restriction for the services. So I create a user group and create a user with just some necessary permission, and I create a user and I use export setting command to just log in as a user, and it's also a permanent user, and I have then the access to the AWS. Maybe there will be a easier way by just logging as a root user or administrator, but my way just works fine. So just a simple way. So I run the Terraform apply command, and like what we entered before, we just need the URL of my Docker image. And then we just enter yes, so that we can perform those actions. It's just the same as what we show in the previous command, the Terraform plan. Okay. So the apply is completed, and we can just enter the domain name to say look, this is the error I mentioned before. The security token included in the request is invalid. That's because we want to create a private subnet, and we use a temporary credentials. So we need to make permanent credentials in order to access to the AWS services. And now we enter in domain name to say, okay, there's a hello world printed, and it indicates that our application is finally successfully deployed in the cloud environment. Thank you for watching anyway.